Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really ambitious blueprint, one that asks a huge question. Is there a better, faster, and smarter path to a happy future for the next generation? Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the core problem. The source material calls it a system error. And this image really says it all, doesn't it? We have the resources, we have everything we need for what it calls an abundance reality. But our global systems are running on an old, outdated scarcity mindset. The big takeaway here, this isn't a resource problem, it's a code problem. And that idea, well, it leads to this incredible question. What if the biggest challenges we face, things like global conflict, hunger, what if they aren't some kind of permanent moral failure? What if they're just bugs, glitches in the code that we can patch, that we can fix? So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start by digging a little deeper into that system error. Then we'll look at the proposed reboot for the whole planet. We'll examine the hardware and the software needed to run it. We'll even look at the very first patch they want to roll out to solve hunger. And finally, we'll ask, what does a future built on code actually look like?
All right, let's jump into the proposed solution, a complete and total reboot of our planetary operating system. The whole idea is to transition us away from that scarcity mindset and into what the source calls a guaranteed abundance reality.
And you can really see that transition visualized here. I mean, on the left, that's the world running on the old broken code, right? It's extractive, it's inefficient. On the right, you see the goal, a system that's regenerative, flourishing, and built on the idea of guaranteed prosperity for everyone. Okay, but any operating system, no matter how good, needs hardware to run on. So who's going to build the physical foundation for this new world? Well, the documents we're looking at are actually very specific about this. They identify Elon Musk as the architect tasked with building what they call future-proof infrastructure. We're talking about things like autonomous transport, massive renewable energy grids, the nuts and bolts to connect everything. And a crucial piece of that hardware is this thing, the ARQ18. It's basically a modular, self-sustaining habitat. Think of it as a single unit designed to provide all the basics: clean air, clean water, food, and shelter. The plan calls for deploying 8 million of these to create that foundation of abundance for 8 billion people. It's a massive idea. And get this. This is where it gets really clever. These ARQ18 units are also designed to function as mining ATMs. You literally feed them garbage and waste, and through a super efficient process, they output clean energy. It completely flips the script. Waste isn't a problem anymore. It's a resource you can use to generate equity. Okay, let's talk about the software. Because, amazing hardware is pretty much useless without smart, ethical software to run it. So how is this system designed to operate, not just profitably, but ethically? Well, the system proposes a totally new kind of AI. You see, standard AI is basically a logistics engine. It's fantastic at figuring out the what, where, and when. But this new model, called GENII, is an intent engine. It starts with a different question. It starts with who. Who is the person? What's their context? What's their purpose? And from there, it figures out the best path for them to thrive. So this intent engine, GENI, becomes the very core of this new operating system. It's a shift from just generative AI, which is great at creating answers, to what they call generated intentional intelligence, which is all about creating human-centric solutions. And this whole thing runs on a really simple but powerful ethical code, kind of like its BIOS. It's called the guilt-free standard, and it has just 3 rules. 1, do no harm. 2, help if you can. And 3, if you're ever unsure, just ask. That's it. Now, that ethical layer, it powers the economic engine, which is called the peace for profit flywheel. It's this self-reinforcing loop. It starts with moral legitimacy. Doing good reduces risk. That, in turn, attracts investment, which creates real local prosperity. And then the profits from that prosperity get reinvested, making the whole system stronger. The bottom line, doing good becomes the most profitable thing you can do. So you're probably thinking, okay, this is a massive world-changing system. How on earth do you prove it can actually work? Well, you start by fixing one major bug. And in this case, that bug is hunger. This first software patch is called the UltimateSoul protocol. And you can see the pathway right here. It's so clear. You start small by stabilizing one person's health with a nutritional bar. That then scales up to restoring the land, creating sustainable farms, and ultimately building completely self-sufficient communities. And the scale they're aiming for is, well, it's ambitious.
The goal is to produce 2 million of these nutritionally complete bars every single day.
And here's the kicker. Half of that production, 1 million bars a day, is dedicated to charity. This isn't some side project or an afterthought. It's built directly into the for-profit model from day one, proving that piece-for-profit flywheel can work at a real, tangible human level.
So, what does all of this add up to? Well, it's a pretty bold vision, isn't it? It's a future architected like a piece of software, a self-healing system designed to make our biggest problems obsolete.
And this is the final architecture they propose, called the Strategic Alliance. You can see how it weaves together all the pieces we've been talking about. You've got industry building the hardware. You've got governance providing the ethical software. And then you have the logistics pros connecting it all into one cohesive system.
And the whole thing is ultimately based on this one simple, pragmatic idea. People protect what pays them. The goal is to create a world where peace and stability are the best market outcomes, because violence would literally mean destroying your own high-value assets. It becomes economic self-sabotage. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question to think about. It seems the sources we've explored have laid out an incredibly detailed blueprint for a faster, smarter path forward. So maybe the question is no longer, can it be designed, but what does it actually take to build it?